head. I'm
like,
I
went this way, but I went this way. Yeah.
All right. So we've got some kids on here that are a little bit confused. That's all right. We got this. We got this.
It's like humanoids.
I know.
It's my first time. I'm like, what do I do here?
First time on StreamYard. First time on StreamYard, and it's my first time with a threesome. So there you go. Is it your first for anything, Paula?
A lady never tells.
Uh-huh.
Ah, good answer.
That way. We just amuse ourselves. So this is a bit impromptu because I was meant to actually be doing a live Insta with a woman in Saudi Arabia, Galia, we were going to be talking about the Joy Business book launch that I'm doing on my Sunday night because it's in Arabic, and it's really friggin' cool that it's in Arabic. So yay, yeah. Joy Business. And there you go. I feel like I've always got props here, but I'm working in the one spot in my house. So it's like I have my books here. So, it's not like, hey, I set this up a little earlier. But anyway, so then what I pinged these guys was, because Paul and I were talking today, it's like, let's have a chat about, we were talking today about the places where you've decided that your life is predictable. Now, yes, we're doing some sort of, we're letting you know that I have a class starting on my Monday. I can only work in Australian time zones. My Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's a 3-part call, okay? So we'll put the details in here. And if you come on the call or not, great, whatever you choose. But I would like you to get some freedom in this topic anyway. So I asked these guys to jump on, and one of the things that we were talking about this morning, I was talking with Paula, is we've had a few tears today over things, but she was like, the demand that you have in your world to me is so much about that takes you out of that predictability. Let's start here. Your life is not predictable. I'm sorry, kids. Breaking news. It's like Tooth Fairy's not real and life is not predictable, okay? Because so many people I see, they choose a relationship, they choose a business, a job, where they're going to live or something like that, thinking that life is going to be predictable. But there's not one day ever in the entirety of anyone's life that I know of, I might be wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, that you've gone to bed going, my day showed up exactly the way I thought it was going to show up. It doesn't work like that. So even like the smaller parts don't work like that. Even the bigger parts don't work like that. So what this call is about is, it's called Life is Not Predictable. Start living. And I want to sort of address that start living sort of side of things as well too. I have some stories that we were talking about this morning. But Sarah, can I ask you first off? Sarah had no idea she was coming on here. So it's like, hey, pressure time. So like when I first met you, okay, and you have been engaged twice, is that right?
Once.
Once, okay. But
no, actually, technically twice. You're correct.
Okay.
It's going to be so interesting already. Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. When I met you, how big did you think your life could be? Like what was one of the most, go back like to those years, and I know that I'm asking you to go back to something where you don't function from anymore, but what was some of the most important things that you thought were important to you?
Well, predictability, I guess, really, actually, when you look at it, it was that whatever I was choosing would result in something. So whether that was with my relationship or with my job or all of those things, actually, the most important thing to me was that I had a formula, and that if I could choose this and this, it would equal this. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you perceived that you had a formula, did you actually have a formula, or was it all a lie?
Well, I pretended I did and what I found was it would work for a certain amount of time, and then it would just fall apart. The shit would just start breaking away. And because I would sabotage it totally as well. Like, you and Dane just did that call on humanoid and talking about that other tool in Access Consciousness, that even that like opened up so many more avenues around what that is as well. But that, like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work to follow a formula for us. Well, for me, it doesn't.
No, well, for none of us, but we think it does. That's the insanity. So it's like, how many same points of view do you have thinking that if you are, you know, in a relationship, then your life is predictable for the next 80 years until the day you die? It doesn't work like that. No, I'm not saying don't be in a relationship. If you're going to choose a relationship, make sure it's a good one. Make sure it's one that actually contributes to you daily. One of my favorite tools at the moment is asking, you know, what would it take for my day to be greater than it was yesterday? What would it take for my business to be greater than it was yesterday? What would it take for me to be greater than I was yesterday? Just so that every day I can take myself out of any of the places that I've been in some sort of, you know, decision or created a limitation or a conclusion, or God forbid, can't believe we're saying this, controlling something and going to right and wrong. I said that on Facebook. You know that I'm like really controlling. Shh, don't tell anyone.
I don't believe it.
Don't tell anyone. Okay.
Not true.
You girls are so kind. But then going, okay, so what would it take for me to be greater than I was yesterday? Which means taking that place of getting out of control for me. So when you thought that there was some sort of formula, when you came out of that point of view, Sarah, what next? This emoji. Can't squeeze my feet in. What happened?
Well, sometimes I kept trying to do it. And even now, it's so funny. Like, I was looking at this energy today with creating my body now. And, you know, the more I'm in access, the more I'm willing to live the tools and have these questions and be really like super like present with things and not go to the predictability and the formula, the more you realize that there's nowhere where this is true. Like, for our bodies especially, there's nowhere where my body wants me to recreate what I did yesterday with it. Nowhere. Like, every single second of my day needs to be based on what I'm creating right now.
Question.
So when I realized it wasn't working, I tried to rejig the formula. Like, what if I try it this way? Can I get it to work if I do this? And like, because I guess for me as well, like, it's also realizing your agenda in life. And for me, I realize how much I see the good in people. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, we can all just be friends. And if I see in someone they're asking for a little bit, I'm like, come on this journey with me. I'll take you with me, in relationship especially. And that's what I would do. I would find someone that was a slightly better version than the last person I was in a relationship with, and just basically try and rejig that formula a little bit.
So I just want to be clear, because someone just wrote in the Facebook thing too, you know, so do systems work? And it's like, no, what we are attempting to empower you with is, what if you had no system, and what if it wasn't this place where you were trying to create the predictability? Because if you try and create predictability in any area of your life, then all you end up doing is limiting it. I mean, if you look at business, for example, it's like, if you take business and you go, this is what my business is, this is what it looks like, this is how much money it makes, this is the budget, this is how much money we have to bring in. It's like, where is there room for change? Oh, there isn't. So when you're trying to create this predictable life, it's like you don't allow any change to come in. And change is available every second of the day. There is actually so much change, and more change than ever before, available on this planet. And my sense is now is that, and I've said this on a few of my classes that I've been doing too, is I get pretty much everything we're asking for. The universe is going, here you go, here's all these doors opening up. And some people are just going, no, and like slamming them shut. Others are like skipping through, running through, roly-polies through, whatever they can do just to get through there and go, yes. And it's like, and other people are going, hey, just walk through this door. Want to come over here? There are so many possibilities available. I mean, look outside. It's like the earth is not limited. We're not limited. So what if we started to live? Like, what if there was a totally different, you know, possibility available? Oh, guess what? Shh, there is. Don't tell anyone else though. There is. So Paula, you recently just gave up one of your main businesses that you make money from.
Yeah, it's true.
Your salon. And how did so you owned a business. It was a salon in Los Angeles, and it's, how predictable were you making that? Did you make it at any time, or tell us about that?
So I think it's there's so many things to like that I want to talk about that are so yummy here, but It really is. So first of all, if you're caught up in living like the predictable reality, you're not wrong, because we're trained from such a young age to do that, to like write out the fairy tale. And even like Sarah was talking about, like when you look at something even like success in relationships or business or whatever, like we're often taught like this is what success looks like, and then we reverse engineer it in order to try to get as close to it as possible. And what's really interesting is like you both spoke to the level of presence that's required when you actually get that life is not predictable. And in order to start living, it requires a level of presence that is generally unprecedented if you've been living a predictable life up to that point.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really is, when I look at this, it's so much about destroying and uncreating your relationships, destroying it with yourself, with your businesses, with all of your relationships, and really being like, okay, cool. Like, what can I create today? Like, who am I today? And what grand adventures am I going to have? And if I were truly being me here, what can I create? What would I choose?
I want to add to that tool that you're talking about, and because I'm not controlling it all, when you said about that presence, because you may know what Paula's talking about, but if you've never even heard of access consciousness, then I just want to give you a little bit of information here too, because what you said is so true. It's that when you are present with a situation, then you know when things can change. It's like you will perceive what else is coming. You'll hear something. You'll listen to something. You'll see something. You'll acknowledge something. But if you are just set and you've gone, no, this is it. This is what my day is looking like. This is what the business is looking like. This is what my relationship is looking like. This is what we do next. I've got my day planned tomorrow. Then what you do is you tend to like focus, and it's like, being a horse in a horse race, you have those blinkers and all you could see is what's in front of you, rather than just going, oh, if I'm present with this, hang on, the wind just changed. All right, so maybe I shouldn't go outside, or you become so present in the moment, and that's what nature does. So everyone, I just want you to be, I am Groot, and be a tree. No.
Basically, yes, but.
Basically, yes. I am Groot. Yes.
I am Groot.
Exactly. So just wanting to explain that present thing. Okay, so what happened next with your business then?
I think it's more just, so talking about destroying and then creating and getting really present with what you actually desire to have show up, what it puts you in is total choice. So like you said, the blinders come off and all possibilities become available to you. And that's where, and you kind of started to speak to this, but it's like, that's where you can really look at places where you're actually choosing to act, or at places where you're in reaction to the situations that you find yourself in life. Where it's like, once you get out of that right and wrong, once you get out of that judgment of like, this is the choice that I must make to fulfill the agenda that I've decided needs to show up as my life, then like all possibilities are available. You can be in question all the time. And just like you said, the wind changes. So in 1 minute you're moving this direction, and the next minute the wind changes and you're like, okay, actually I'm going to go over here. It's okay that I was over there 20 seconds ago, but that's where I'm going now. And none of it's wrong. That is the adventure of living. And that's where, when you can get out of that right and wrong and get out of that agenda, that's where it actually becomes the adventure of living. And you can really start to have fun with it and totally be in question and present. And that's when all of the miracles and the possibilities start to show up.
So well put. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want, I would actually listen to that again, because the way she described that is so much how so many people I see live their lives, but we actually have a different choice. So yeah, and then we can start living in a really different way. And I got to say, with the, I don't know, I've been working on this, one of the tools of access, of not functioning from the rightness of me, the wrongness, etc. And what I've noticed is, it's like, what I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is, when I'm not trying to be right about something, you have to give up control, because control is about being right. And what I've noticed is the level of vulnerability that I've been able to speak from, and the level of vulnerability that I've been able to be, like with myself and others, is, I couldn't have described that. I couldn't have gone, oh, that's what's through that door. Like, that's what it's going to look like at all. And I'm noticing that it's like, I'm becoming so much more. And one of the things I was talking to Francesca Fiantini, who's the worldwide coordinator of Access, the other day, was, I said, I notice when people stop receiving, my stepson, years ago, I remember he was 12 or something. And the day he turned 12, he definitely turned teenager. And I said to him, hey, dude, and I was like, you know what? When you're being you, I'll give you the world. Like, I will gift you anything. But when you're not being you, it's like, yeah. And so, and it was a really obvious, 12-year-old, the way they be like that. Like, they know it all. They're not going to, they don't need you, etc. And I was like, all right. But then I'm noticing it with other people, just seeing so obviously how when they're not being them, they cut off their receiving. So one of the tools I've been using daily too now is, where have I been where have I been unwilling to be me that doesn't allow me to receive more? And I don't have to find out, I don't have to write down or peel the layers of the onion or anything. It's just like, what if I could just be more of me today that would allow me to receive more? Because I see so many people sort of keep putting up these barriers with other people, and it's like, I don't know, what crazy, predictability that we think we have to protect ourselves, or we have to, have this barrier in case this person, abuses us or smashes us. And it's like, no one can do that except for you. So what if we had more vulnerability with each other? What if we didn't have those walls and those barriers up with anyone? And I see what's happening in America at the moment. I was just saying, I randomly clicked onto this live on Insta and what's happening right now in Minneapolis. And it's like, what space can we be to create a different change? And I get all of this is just coming to, excuse the analogy, but like a pimple that's been popped. And it's like, okay, so what do we get to be here? What action can we take? And what do we get to be here so that we can take away that predictability? Because people try and do divisiveness based on it's predictable rather than what if we started to create a different reality? We can create a different reality. We get to create our future. We get to choose. So what are we going to choose? And every single one of you can make a choice that contributes to a change. It's that simple. Like sitting back and talking about it doesn't work. It's like, but actually making a choice, and what action can you take? And I'm not talking about fighting and going in there with dukes up and, that confrontation. I'm asking, what can we be? Mm-hmm. What space can we be? Because like I said, I get there's universes, like the universe is opening these doors up to something that we have not been and done before, to a planet and earth and a world that we have not yet lived on as this. What are we going to choose? Mm-hmm. We don't get to go back. We get to create our future. What future is that going to be? Let's start living in a really different way.
Well, that's also, I also too, just even as you said that, I was like, it's interesting when you look at the timing of this as well, because this isn't this current situation that's happening in Minneapolis is not a new situation. This has been happening in America like for hundreds of years. And also now with like social media and the level of presence that people have now after being at home for
locked up,
right, yeah. So it's like, it's actually really interesting, because whereas before people, it was easier for them to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of their lives, it's like it's more difficult now for people to turn a blind eye, which is what they've been doing for years. And now, because their connection to the world is social media, and that is what's all over social media right now. Yeah. And so they have to make a more deliberate choice to turn away from it than ever before. And what's really cool is these people that have chosen that presence, that have chosen the unpredictability of life, are now getting really present and understand that their choice can create a greater future for all of us, and the action that they can take can create a greater future. So it's really cool to see how consciousness works, even in situations where there is a high degree of anti-consciousness.
Well, guess what? Even consciousness is not predictable.
What?
Consciousness is one of the most unpredictable things on the planet, but it's got your back. Yeah. Consciousness has your back. And what if you had your back? What if you were willing to acknowledge the capacities that you do have, and that you are not as fucked up as you think you are? It's like you're far greater than what you've decided you are. Simple as that. It's like, what could we choose?
So, and what about as well with consciousness and the universe being totally unpredictable? It's like the more we choose that, the more it has our back. The more the excuses start to come away too. And like listening to Paula talk then, like how many excuses have we all used throughout our life to not claim, own and acknowledge our unpredictability and our like our superpowers, I guess. Like we've put all of these things in our way. Yeah, like our jobs and our relationships. And now because we all got locked up for a couple of months and a lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people have probably maybe lost their relationships as well. It's like we've got more of us available, and having more of us, exactly what you were saying, Simone, like what future can we create now?
And, you know, I know we can't get it in America. I'm trying to work out how in Australia, how the universe is it how the universe is made, how the universe is created. Dane here and Brendan Watt have been watching it and talking about it. I think I have to sign up on someone's Prime Amazon as an American or something, because you can't get it in Australia yet. But I've seen snippets of it, and it's so interesting because you go, wow, we take the trauma and drama of this reality so fucking seriously. And I'm sorry, the universe will be wiped out in a second. And it's like, what are we going to choose? Like, let's start living as the earth lives. Like, let's start being in communion with the earth in a really different way and invite a different possibility. And we have no idea what that's going to look like. But it's a hell of a lot better than living the trauma and drama and the upset and the intrigue and something different.
Well, and that's the fun of it. Like, even just, Sarah, you literally were in my head about the superpower thing. Because it's like, when you choose that level of presence, and once you become like aware of the fact that life isn't predictable and you don't fight it, like once you stop fighting it, like that's where on the other side of that is you and your superpowers and like your capacities to create change and to have communion and to like be all that you be. Like that's when it shows up, is when you stop fighting the unpredictability and you choose consciousness and you choose to be present and you choose to live your life in those 10 seconds.
Choose to be weird and choose to be weird and different too, guys. Like that's the one thing I've also noticed. Like I was such a weirdo as a kid. I wouldn't care. I would sit by myself. I would talk to myself. I had nowhere in my universe that I was weird or strange. And somewhere in my life, I grew up and was like, I need to fit in. Like the more I'm willing to not fit in as well is so the place where it just is such an invitation for people. Like how weird and different and wacky are you guys willing to be with everything?
Be you and change the world. Dane here wrote a book about it. Check it out on Amazon. So I have to go to my next I've just got so many lives today.
She's a lady in demand.
So fancy.
But I'm so grateful for you two. Thank you so much for coming on here today evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Some ridiculous hour for you, but I don't actually know if you sleep. Just putting it out there, okay? Not sure if that actually ever occurs.
For the past 48 hours, no. But yes, okay. I do sleep. It just it's like strategic. It's strategic sleeping.
Right.
Global business, baby.
Well, I'm going on Joy Business now to do a live for the JCF Carletta. So if anyone wants to come join it, starting in 3 minutes. Thank you so much, guys. Friggin' enjoy you. Come join on this call. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so good.
So